Coming up on the Art Marketing Podcast, Q4 is coming. So we're going to be talking about how to use email, Facebook and Instagram ads to warm up your audience ahead of the fourth quarter. What's up, guys? Patrick with you today. Thanks as always for listening. Now, hopefully, you've been marketing your art and photography all year long. You've been busy building your list, sending them relevant, non-salesy content, what we like to call at Art Storefronts romance content, romance marketing. And if you have been doing that all year, you're going to have an absolutely great fourth quarter. You've warmed up your list. They know, like, and trust you. They're going to be ready and receptive for you to send them a deal, an offer, a discount, a salesy type of an email. Now, if you haven't been doing that, that's okay. You still have time, and right now is absolutely the perfect time to start. Now, in the last episode, we talked about running a contest. And that is a great way to warm up your audience, but it's also an advanced marketing technique, right? And therein lies one of the beautiful things anyway, in the nuance that is marketing, is there's plenty of simple things you can do that are still time-honored and crazy effective, and that's what I want to get into today. Yes, I prefer you run a contest, but if you're like a contest, are you out of your mind? That sounds so technical, there's no way. I get it, I totally get that. This little baby today offers a fantastic way to get the job done. And so let's talk about what's the big idea here. What are we going to be covering? Let's talk about Brad. Brad is a photographer. The fourth quarter is coming. Great time to sell art. And what do most photographers and artists, and especially Brad, do? All year long, they market very little, and Brad is no different. So when the fourth quarter comes around, Brad gets hit with the fever. He decides to go for the jugular with an email. Hey, Patrick, here's his email. Hey, Patrick, I know you've not heard from me in a while, but buy my art, buy my photography. I'll give you 50% off if you buy in the next 5 minutes. Email. He sends one of those. And then Brad goes on and creates a Facebook ad with his email. He then shows it to some random cold audience. People told him that Facebook ads were just absolutely the way to go. Brad sits back, cracks a beer, waits for his flood, his torrent, if you will, of sales. They're going to come in, and instead, he's greeted with crickets. He throws his hands up, he bemoans his station in life, likely goes on a rant about how art does not sell online, and just accepts defeat at that. And I think in our example here, what Brad fails to realize is that people do not respond well, especially people that you have not been actively marketing to with non-salesy content all year. Nobody likes being hardcore sold like that. It's just not something that we appreciate as human beings. And so at Art Storefronts, we call the non-salesy marketing romance marketing. Doesn't matter what you call it, but we like romance. We like the romance analogy. Now, why this is perhaps a bit indecorous, I think it works well. What does Brad do? Brad is the guy in the bar that walks up to the gal he's not seen or contacted in months and pulls the, you know what would look good on you? Me. Let's get out of here. Check, please. Like, everything is wrong about that, right? Just thinking about it as you're taken aback. It's like people tend to not respond well to those types of sexual advances, and it's best to think of your marketing efforts the exact same way. Don't be Brad. Don't come out swinging with the hard sale. Instead, start with some small talk, a few dates, some romance. So that's the big picture. Let's ensure, as this fourth quarter is coming up, that your art, your photography is top of mind with your audience, and that you are doing so in a non-salesy way. And most importantly, let's also assure that when we do get into a marketing technique or a tactic, that we utilize everything that we have at our disposal to get the most ROI out of those efforts. That's kind of been a recurring theme. And now, if you've been marketing all year long, romance marketing all year long, if you have an email list and you've been active on social, you've been posting, you've been running ads on Facebook and Instagram all year long, awesome. This works. This is going to work fantastic for you. If you've been decent but inconsistent in your marketing all year long, maybe you sent some emails, maybe a few social posts, but maybe you missed a couple of months, you thought about trying ads, you never tried ads, guess what? This works. And if you're just getting started, have not really done any marketing all year long or any really at all, you have 2 people on your email list, guess what? This works. And you especially need to learn how to do this because we're going to get going on that list for the next fourth quarter that's coming in 2019. Now, if you're Art Storefronts customer, Alyssa Hinton, you'd post in the Facebook group. And I quote, "Hello, Art Storefronts artist. I just completed my first romance email to gear up for this holiday selling season. There will be another non-salesy romance email in another week or two. Then I'll be gearing up by making a special offer to my audiences. My question is this: should I be creating Facebook ads to go with these romance newsletters just to get them under more noses? Under more noses, I love it. Or should I wait until the first salesy newsletter to do Facebook ads? And so that was the question that Alyssa posted in our Facebook group. When I saw that, and I was like, okay, I love this. I love this topic. This is perfect. It dovetails completely perfectly with where we are in the season and the kind of content we're putting out right now. So number one, reading that all got me all fired up because Alyssa totally gets the romance and warm-up part, which is a huge part of the battle. And as soon as I read that, I knew this is a podcast. It's got to happen, right? So let me ID what we're working with. Alyssa has an email from MailChimp. She uses MailChimp that she composed to her list. In the email, she links to a post on her blog. She also has a blog. So I'm going to put both her email and the blog post, a link to the blog post, in the show notes so you can check those out. It'll be an actual link to the email. MailChimp gives you the ability to do that so you can see what hers look like. And I think those are worthwhile to check out. So she's got those two parts of the equation handled, those two parts of some romance marketing ahead of the fourth quarter sorted. She already sent it. So what I want to teach her as well is figuring out how to best amplify the reach of that email and that blog post. And for that, we're going to be creating a Facebook post. We're then going to be turning that Facebook post into an ad, and then we're going to create an Instagram post, and we're going to turn that Instagram post into an ad, and also an Instagram story if you have that capability and you can do it. And we're going to show those ads to our warm traffic, i.e. people that we have on our email list, and you can also include in there people that have visited your website before, your remarketing traffic, if you're set up that way. And our goal is to get as much attention to this blog post and email as possible. And by the way, you can do this without the blog post too. If your situation is you don't have a blog, you're not blogging, you just have email works just fine too. The idea is you're sending non-salesy content, and we want to get the most ROI of it. You took the time, energy, and effort to create that content. Let's get it in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So that's what we want to do. So we've got an email, we've got a blog post, and as stated, both are in the show notes. Stop the tape, take a look at them because it'll help you kind of visualize what we're going to be talking about here. They're very non-salesy. There's no discount, there's no coupons, there's no buy now. She's just got some text talking about some things, and she throws them to a post, and she's talking about some things, and if they want to view more images, they can view more images, but nothing salesy in it. Now, those are sorted. Let's talk about the Facebook post. Facebook post, believe it or not, more or less can mimic your email. You can use text and images, and most importantly, the same language you're going to use in your email and blog post to create a post on Facebook. And one of the common misconceptions is that you can't make them longer form. You certainly can longer form. There's a huge argument that sometimes longer form posts perform better than short ones. Would argue you need imagery always. But the Facebook post itself, when you look at it, and when we dive into this technique today, and when you see the one that I create, it's really actually kind of impressive what you can do with it. So what we're going to do, we're going to write a Facebook post. We're going to feature emojis in our Facebook post and Instagram post because emoji are in these days. They're great at getting attention, increasing engagement, and replacing words, which is always a good thing. So that will speed the composition of a really good Facebook post, I think, throwing the emojis in there. And I'll also put a link to a handy little Chrome extension. I think they actually have one for Safari, Firefox 2, depending on who you browse with, from a company called Emoji One, that really makes the insertion of emojis very, very snappy. It'll speed your overall workflow. So there'll be a link for that. And then I'm also, while I create this post, I'm obviously talking about it here on the podcast, but I'm going to film a video of my approach to how I look at it. I'll pull up her email, I'll glance at it, I'll glance at the blog post, I'll do some narration, then I'll create the Facebook post, I'll start throwing in some emojis. I might pause the video to finish it, but I'll show you my whole process, my whole creation process, and some pointers, and I will throw that video into the show notes. So that'll be in there. So now we've got a Facebook post, same language she used in her email. It's good looking, it's got emojis, and we've posted it to our Facebook page. Now, the key takeaway, why are we doing this, is if I see your email, I'm likely going to ignore it, first because I'm busy, I'm out running around and doing things, and then I'm going to see your Facebook post perhaps later that afternoon, And I'm either going to read that Facebook post or I'm going to read your email. And at the very least, it's going to increase the odds that that person does that, which is our goal. That's what we want them to do. For Instagram, going to do the exact same thing. Again, I'll walk through that process. For my Instagram story, for those of you that understand how to do stories and that's a part of your marketing, the story can be the exact same thing. It can be anything as simple as a single image, just a single image referencing that email. And so you can do an image and some text, or you can draw on it, or you can throw emojis on it, whatever you like. Or you can get creative and do 3 to 5 story slides or a video, all up to you. But I do get great results even with just one story image on Instagram, and it really works fantastic. So at this point, let's ID everything that we've got. We've got an email, we've got a blog post, we now have a Facebook post, we now have a regular Instagram post, and we've published an Instagram story, right? So those are 3 additional posts that you need to create too if you're not into stories. So let's talk about the traffic piece. Now, if you're not doing paid ads, you're not in that camp, you haven't gotten there yet, that's okay. You can still run this for free, and it's going to be absolutely fine. And I'll circle back in the end of the podcast to talk about timing for you. If you are doing the paid traffic piece, though, and if you've been following along with the podcast, especially go back to episodes 28 and 29, again, links in the show notes. We've covered how to get your email list plus buyer list plus everybody list that knows, likes, and trusts you up into Facebook so you can use that as an audience. We're gonna leverage this audience to show some ads to. So that, in addition, if you have the Facebook remarketing pixel installed on your site, then you can also include as an audience in there your remarketing audience. And a lot of times, if you're just getting started and you're just getting rolling and you have a small email list, despite all the tricks that we told you to beef it up, you can combine your small email list and your remarketing list, and sometimes that'll get you up over the hump of, you need an audience a certain size to be able to start showing ads. So that's just a little tradecraft here or there. So we'll combine those audiences into one ad group. And what's great about the way that we did this, so post on Facebook, post on Instagram. Let's just start with those 2 pieces. Because we've created those posts and published them to our page, what that allows us to do is, rather than have to go into Facebook and write ads, meaning put an image up, write new text, format it, make sure everything looks good, we don't have to do that. The post is already done, which is fantastic. And so what that allows you to do is go into the ads manager, select the post that you've already created, and turn it into an ad to your audience. And I find that really speeds with execution speed and helps keep things less confusing. So easy enough, right? Sounds pretty easy. Yep, I know how to create those posts. I've done it. Sounds pretty easy. I think I can create those ads. I'll figure it out, right? So the good news here is that if this is really, really first time for you, you can just go ahead and boost both of those posts. You can go into Facebook, boost that Facebook post. You can do it for $5, $10, $15, $20. Target those audiences that you created. We went over that in the earlier episodes, and you're done. That's it. You're done. You can do that. Same thing in Instagram. Boost it. In terms of audiences, use those audiences you've already created and just boost those 2 posts. That's the easy, low-hanging fruit, super quick execution speed way to do it. If you're a little bit more sophisticated, you're going to end up using the ads manager, which is what I recommend. But sometimes the boosted posts work great. Excuse me, sorry. But you can just use the ads manager and go in, grab those ads, make sure the targeting all looks good, maybe put in some exclusions, and get that done. And again, we've got 3 videos or 4 videos, 3 videos. I don't know. I owe you a video on this too. So what I'll do, I'm going to create the posts. I'm going to publish the posts, talk about that in the earlier videos. In the last video, I will go into the ads manager and show you exactly how to do this step by step, one bit at a time. And it's really, once you've got the audiences in there, it's really pretty quick and really pretty easy to get done. So I'll have videos on all of those things to walk you through step by step what it looks like. So let's talk about the timing. And in our current example, we have a blog post, an email, Facebook post, Instagram post, and a story. So the question becomes, do I want to publish all of this all at once or stagger it a bit? And by stagger it, I mean maybe you send the email and you publish the blog post and send the email in the morning, and you do your Facebook post at noon, and you do your Instagram post at 5 p.m. If you're in the free camp and you're not going to be paying for paid traffic, it's just not in the budget, it's not in the means, you don't know how to do ads, whatever the case may be, by all means, you want to stagger things a little bit. I find that the staggering just has a way of catching different people at different times. Everyone's got a different schedule. Everyone has a different time where they're on Facebook or where they're potentially on Instagram or where they're in their email. I mean, we're all in their email all day, but there's a huge ignoring factor in there. So when you're in the free mode, if you stagger things a little bit, I find that you're going to get better results than if you just hammer everything at once. Email, blog post, Instagram, Facebook, done. Because what ends up happening is you post those things organically and almost instantaneously they disappear into the ether. So if you're in the free camp, play around with staggering. There's no hard and fast rule about publish the first one, wait 3 hours, publish the second one, wait 3 hours. It really just kind of comes down to experimentation and see what works best for you. But the staggering is easy. It's free. It's something that everybody can do. You can do that without paid traffic and you're good to go. So for those of you that are going to do the paid traffic, are going to do the paid piece, well, the organic reach argument has been taken off the table for you. You're not worried about organic reach. We realize what the game is. Facebook owns everything with Facebook and Instagram, and we have to pay these tyrants in order for them to show our content to the people that we had as followers originally. I know that's annoying, but tyrants, some of them are, some of them aren't. There's some good people at Facebook. Just kidding about the tyrant side. So you're in a better position. You don't necessarily need to stagger things out. You can go ahead and just hit publish, hammer them all, because you're going to put the ads in near instantaneously. Everything is going to be up and running at least for 24, 48, 36 hours, depending on what kind of results you're going to get and what results you're looking to get. So that's kind of the piece about timing, right? And, to sum things up, you did the hard work. You created that email or that email and blog post if that's your situation. And we want to get as much attention to that content as possible. It's non-salesy content, so it's actually going to bring value to your audience. They're going to enjoy seeing it. And we're just grabbing Facebook and Instagram and we're leveraging the power of them to get you as much attention as possible. It's, for being someone that's created content his entire life and been a content marketer for my entire life, you put so much time, energy, thought, effort into the creation of the piece of said content. You're doing yourself a disservice. And I need to remind myself of this often. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't spend as much time on the promotion piece, right? You got to get it in front of as many people as you can. And this is just so fantastic, such a fantastic technique for it. And you can do it so inexpensively. It maximizes the ROI of your content marketing efforts. So now you've done all that. Nice job. You're now on the top of mind for your audience. You're now earning the audacity, the goodwill to ask for that sale as the holiday approaches. If you can get one of these, two of these, three of these out ahead of your first sale, which for most of you is going to be around Black Friday, someone in that zone, you're going to be in a much, much better place, especially if you've been communicating inconsistently. You sent an email 3 months ago, you forgot last month, you haven't talked to them in a while, maybe you haven't sent anything all year. You got to warm things up a little bit. You got to prime the pump a little bit. You got to throw some non-salesy stuff in there just to get yourself top of mind. You do that, everyone is going to be more receptive to your message when the time comes to throw those sales emails in there. So incredibly powerful technique, often underutilized by so many people. One that you can do for free, one that if you do bolt the paid traffic, which can be so inexpensive. I mean, if I'm doing this 3 times, maybe I spend $20 per, $30 per, $40 per, even $50. You go up if you've got a much bigger list and audience, but for those people, you guys have money anyway. So, invest a little bit in it, and you are going to set the stage, set yourself up to do such a fantastic job. And oh, by the way, this works ahead of any sale, anytime. So, if you're listening to this now and you're like, this is just out of my reach, you can get into it in Q1 whenever you're going to do a sale in Q1 or Q2 or Q3. So that's what we've got. The nature of this podcast, obviously, is it's heavily visual, this particular episode. So I think the videos will be incredibly compelling. I'm putting all 3 of them up to YouTube. I'm going to put all 3 of them up on the podcast page. You'll be able to just go through them, one each, take your time. Don't get flustered. Just go step by step. There's pause and rewind in these things, and you can get every single solitary step. And so I will throw that in. I'm going to throw in some additional color commentary, the post, the email, the Chrome extension. So you can start with all of those, and you can find the podcast. Just open up Google on the internet machine, Art Marketing Podcast. If you don't know where the URLs are, this one is it's going to be episode number 32. For those of you that like Messenger, you can just as easily open Messenger on your phone, search for Art Storefronts, click Get Started, and then you can get all of those resources from the bot menu as well. And speaking of bots, I did not mention the bot piece today, which is very difficult for me to do as much as I love them, in an attempt to keep things simple. But let's talk briefly about the chatbot piece. If you've been listening to me, you've run a contest, you've been building your messenger list, then yes, by all means, throw in a messenger broadcast to complement things. It works just as well in this technique. It's what I like to call the 1-2 punch, actually. So as we continue to march towards the fourth quarter, we're updating our playbooks to feature how messenger marketing joins the party. I didn't want to let you think that I'm excluding that. So look for those updates on the upcoming podcasts. And I got to say, this is going to be a great fourth quarter, you guys. I can feel it. The economy is roaring right now, and our playbooks are going to be even better than they were last year. So if you run them, I really do feel like you're going to do great. I'm seriously fired up about it. And with that, thanks as always for listening, and have a great day.